Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some wildflowers. Super excited about this one. I have been painting landscapes all month and I'm ready for some flowers. It's like my reward at the end of the month.
She was singing again earlier.
I got all A's. I get to do some flowers. All right, I got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those during our live stream. Let's get started. All right, so I am going to be using an 11 by 14 inch watercolor canvas board. Really any kind of canvas is fine. This one's just, this is the only one that I had in this size, so we're not doing watercolors on it, obviously. But you can. It's kind of acts a little bit like paper, which is fun. The paints we're using here, let me go over them really quick. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow deep, or you could use like a cadmium yellow medium or an India yellow hue. I wanted a darker, more opaque yellow though, since we've got, we're going to be going over some greens. So, and a more opaque yellow, if you can find it, would be better than the transparent India yellow that we normally use. This one is Pyrrole orange, cadmium red medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo blue green shade, Cobalt Teal, Phthalo green yellow shade, green gold, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium white, and gloss glazing liquid. Of course, as always, if you don't have these exact colors, just use what you've got. That's similar. We've got the whole rainbow here just about. Maybe no purple, but we're going to mix our own. So. And as for brushes, I'm going to go kind of juicier, you know, a little bit more impressionist style with this, these flowers. I wanted a bigger canvas so I could do that. It makes it a little bit easier if you're on a little bit bigger canvas to do this style of painting. For the background, I think I'm going to use the Filbert, just a large Filbert here. I might even get a bigger size if this one doesn't turn out to be big enough. This is the 8 in the Aspen. And then I've got a smaller number 4 Filbert for some of the larger flowers in this area. Then I am going to need, actually I need a bigger round. I did not grab one. All right, so a large round and a medium round. And then I've got a flat brush for some leaves, also a couple of sizes of angle brushes. You kind of just measure the size of canvas that you're doing. So I pick the brushes that I think were going to be about the width of some of the petals on the flowers that I want to do. So that's how I pick the sizes. And I might even need a little bit bigger brush than this. I'll grab a 6. So this is the 6 and 4. And the green handles are 6100 series Summit. From Princeton, and then these red-handled ones are the VelvetTouch. I've also got a script liner for some of the finer details. We won't have tons of lines in this one, but and yeah, let's get started. I don't think I'm going to even need that one. I'm not sure. I think that was left over from the octopus that I painted on Thursday, or started to paint. We painted the background and drew some octopuses. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good. All right.
Yeah,
how's
I'm ready
everybody
to
in
go.
chat?
Everybody seems to be as friendly as always.
Nice.
Very
Hi to
courteous.
everybody. Very glad you're
There's
here.
no pushing or shoving coming in, so that's good. There's plenty of room for everybody.
No meanies.
No meanies.
Meanies get booted. All right. I'm going to spray my canvas. I always like to spray it when I've got a blank canvas. If you wanted to, you could pre-do your background with really any number of colors. I really like, with a green, I'd probably go with a yellow or something like that for my background mixture, but a teal would even be nice. I have a video that I did earlier in the year that was showed how to do different backgrounds. I think it's in the title thumbnail, something about understanding underlayers or something like that, if that's of interest to anybody. And it was a very simple landscape that we did, and did it in showed 4 different background colors to start with, how it changed the colors that you put on top, and it really does matter. All right, so let's get going here. stop talking and paint. All right, so in our picture, if you notice up here at the top, there's some darkness, and that's probably some trees or something in this field of flowers. But I generally like to do, when I'm doing this kind of open field thing, I generally like to do either sky or just a lighter color in the background because it makes it feel deeper. We can do the darker colors down here and kind of flip-flop what we've got in this picture, because what that dark kind of makes it feel a little bit more immediate. I think I want it a little bit pushed back. So I think I'm going to lighten up this background on purpose. So I'm going to grab the Cobalt Teal and some white. And with this background, to start with, the key is to just get the paint on fast. So if you feel like you need to pre-mix, if it takes you a long time to mix colors, use your palette knife and pre-mix a few color of, you know, different versions of green and things. I'm just going to kind of mix it as I go here really quickly. But the key is going to be to keep it kind of blended. And so we'll just work from top down and blend as we go. All right, so I'm going to start with this color. It's pretty bright, so I might add some of the Unbleached Titanium to tint it down a little bit. Like, when I say bright, I mean like saturated, you know, it's like kind of a little bit too bright, too vibrant. So I just want to desaturate it a little bit with that Unbleached Titanium. And also use a brown if we wanted to, or a little bit of the opposite on the color wheel, which to the teal would probably be like an orange of some sort, Pyrrole orange, because this is close to cyan, and the opposite from cyan would be a vibrant orangey red, Pyrrole orange or something like that. All right, so there we go. We've got that. Let's go ahead and start popping in some greens. There's a lot of like little kind of bokeh effect things going on, and I do want to have that in there. So I'm going to just tap in with this brush now into that wet paint. So do that quickly, and while that's wet, we want to do this next step. And I'm not worried about anything down here. We'll just blend into that as we go, but okay, so something like that. Dabbing in, we can kind of blend those out a little bit if we want. We can grab some of our original color, add a little bit of white. I just grabbed the phthalo green here and just added it to that cobalt teal. So it's mostly lighter color in there. It's not a lot of the cobalt teal, so it's mostly white and unbleached titanium in that first mixture that we did. All right, so there we go. We've got some of that in there. We're going to add other colors, but I think I'm not going to do too many colors right now. I think I just want to get my greens on mostly, and then might add a little bit of blue. So I'm going to use the unbleached or ultramarine blue and kind of holding my brush on its side, do some little bluish angled things. Okay. You can see how it's going to start now. As soon as we put a little bit darker green down here, it's going to start to look like a field. So I'm going to get a little bit of the green gold just to make it a little bit more yellow, a little bit different color. And I'm going to start putting in like little blades of grass like things. And I'm using the edge of my brush now. Keep them kind of thin in this back area. We don't want too much detail yet.
Okay, I put a link to that video in the chat.
Thank you.
It's the simple landscape tutorial back on January 23rd.
Right. One of the things when you are mixing colors like this and doing several colors, make sure that the colors you use are next to each other on the color wheel. So I wouldn't take this green and add any red to it. I would stay within 4 or 5 colors max, because anything more than that, you're going to start getting mud. So when you're doing these kind of like initial layers where you're blending things, just keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're keeping things a little bit close to each other, the colors with the colors that you're using. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit more of the yellowish green and add some of that. I might need to go a little bit lighter even with that background, we'll see. And every now and then I'm going to shoot a really thin line all the way up. And just really get that feeling like grass. And all this back here is going to be kind of blendy and things, so I'm not worried about what it looks like right now. Once we start putting our flowers in front of this, it'll all kind of disappear and go away and fade into the background. Get a little bit of water, a little bit more of the green and green gold, so a little bit more intense color. Each time I add more color, I'm going to intensify or go a little bit darker with it as I come down. And this area in the front will be the darkest area, and then we'll put some lighter colors on top, but it'll be light. So I'm going to get burnt sienna. Seems like a weird color, but it's going to create a darker green for me and keep the green neutral. If I use that green, it's going to be too like Kelly green. It's going to look weird. So I need to have a little bit of neutral color added so that it's, see how now that looks a little bit more natural. Doesn't look like a out of the tube paint color. We've just mixed a more natural looking green just by adding that burnt sienna. You could add burnt umber too. You know, I play with the colors, see what you like. You can add purple. I like to add purple to my green. It's kind of a weird combo. You can also add red. Red opposite on the color wheel. It'll also neutralize your greens. So each one of those colors will give you just another little character to your green. And I'm going to go ahead and shoot some grass leaves way up there. And they're kind of breaking up and looking loose. I'm not trying to paint perfect grass leaves right now. And I am going to kind of dab in, just using the corner of the brush, just dab in some little broken little dots. All these will look like little flower pods or whatever. Everything kind of builds up. It's all about layers. And then go down here. I'm not going to mix into this because this has a lot of the white and things, so I'm going to get a little bit more of that darker color, and I think I'm going to add burnt, what is that color? Phthalo blue. Thank you. Took my brain a second.
I love when you have those conversations. And you're so polite. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Dude, I had to thank my brain for pulling through there.
For working.
It was a close thing.
Touch and go. We might remember what that color is.
I don't know. Art brain plus menopause is not a good combo. Not helpful for the memory. All right, getting a little bit more of those colors there.
What is my excuse?
I don't know. Is there a girl pause or woman pause? Is that the version for men?
I got girlopause.
I think so. It really doesn't seem right that they call it menopause.
I was having a hot flash the other night, so I was wondering.
You would not be joking about it if you've ever had one. For real.
We were shopping this weekend, visiting our son and family, and we're in Hallmark, and all of a sudden Angela stops, and she's like, grabs her fan real quick.
I carry a fan in my purse.
Her face is turning red.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm having a hot flash.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on,
so
everybody.
Inconvenient. Stop the presses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not cool down until about an hour later. That's not fun. All right, so just adding, these are just the, I've been using the same 4 colors, so the Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, and Burnt Umber and Burnt Sienna. Pretty much like a little bit less of the browns, but a little bit more of these two here. Just making a nice dark green for the foreground, and now you can see that's kind of pushed back. That now the field feels a little bit more expansive and airy. And everything we put, we'll still put some lighter colors in the front. We're not going to leave it this dark, but it'll just give us some room to play. I like it. If you want the dark back here, you can do that. It's up to you. It's your, you know, I'm just showing you a way of painting, not the only way. Ooh, these are blue. That's nice. I like that. So, okay, so this is getting kind of sticky. I could tell because it's like grabbing the brush and it's not letting me go. So I just need to let this dry completely before we try to put any more colors on it. I'm going to pass this off to Mark, I think, if you don't mind. You can also tell if you try to put some color down and it starts to kind of like pull the paint off the canvas. That's another sure sign that your paint needs to be left alone and let dry. So I'm going to clean up my brush and clean my hands and clean my workspace. I made a mess down here. And the reason I don't know, I'm weird. I don't like to have paint all over my hands. It's a messy profession, but I try to stay clean because you can, and I have transferred paint onto a canvas before unintentionally by having it on my hands, and then you can this kind of painting where we have colors going everywhere, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But we were painting a butterfly collection earlier this month and for my patrons, and there was a few times where I got paint on that background color and then had to remix the background color. I was not happy. I would show you it, but it's hanging in my house, so you can check it out on my website, though, if you want to, thankfulart.com, and just go to the tutorials section, and it's one of the very first ones there. We just did it last month, depending on what month you're watching. This is June 2024, so it may be back a few because we started it 11 weeks ago. It's been a while. But those challenge videos are ones that I do with my patrons. Right now we're starting on an octopus. So on Thursdays, we meet every Thursday for 2 hours or so. And we work through the whole process from design to finished product on a project. So this time we're working on 3 octopus and we usually do them on larger canvases too. So it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit more relaxed than these Tuesday night ones. I can go into more depth and, go over techniques and things that I just don't have time to do in my live streams on Tuesday nights. So, and then once a month we do, at least for one more month, we do a bonus video too. So that's for the $5 level. The basic level, this is the painting we did this last month for that. So that was 3.5 hours, something like that. So just a little bit longer, a little bit more in-depth paintings for those patrons. And that's Patreon is the link down in the description if you're interested in checking any of that out. All right, now that we're done with that, I'm trying to talk about something while we're sitting here. All right, let me do this. Let me kind of get an idea of where I want to put some of the main flowers, and then we'll build around them. So I know I've got one up here that I'm going to do that's sort of shaped like that. I've got these kind of star-shaped thistle type ones that are up here. And then I've got a few poppies. I think I'm going to add a poppy to this. So I'm going to add another poppy kind of up high. Maybe I'll move it over a little bit so that shows there. And I want kind of an open one. I had some pictures from my garden. So we'll do one there, and I'm just using regular school chalk here. And then do a partly open poppy here. Love painting poppies. And then we'll do that red one. Okay, there's a red one over here. So I'm trying to think of where the colors are going to go to so that they sort of have a nice flow. So I think I'll do this one kind of pink and do another red one right here. And this one is sort of closed up. Look at the shape that you're seeing. Don't look. I think the reason people have problems or say they have trouble painting flowers is because they're letting their brains kind of take over the drawing process. And flowers, anything that's like very simple, like clouds, trees, flowers, houses, you know, whatever, anything that you like kind of first word type of images that you stored in your brain, you're going to have like a really set idea. Your brain is going to have a really set idea of how it looks when you close your eyes. If you picture a flower, that is what you are going to try. Your brain is going to be screaming at you to draw, no matter what you know, do, no matter how many paintings you've done, whatever, your brain will always default to that kind of stored memory of a thing, unless you paint it often. Like after a while, it kind of goes away because then you've kind of stored new things, and especially, you know, if you've painted a certain subject quite a lot. I'm gonna do another daisy there. I'm just gonna draw a circle where I'm gonna put it, and a really large one right in here. I'm just trying to think of where I've got room. I've got room for kind of one flower down here and then another big one right here. And I'm trying to also think about where things are moving. There's a pink something right here. But anyhow, so I think part of painting, and especially painting flowers, is figuring out how to mute that voice in your head that's trying to tell you, you know, that it's not looking right while you're painting it, because what'll happen is you'll be like, oh yeah, that's not right, and then you'll stop looking at what you're seeing and start painting or drawing what your brain is telling you it should look like, and that's where you get off. You end up ending up with something that doesn't look at all like what you're intended it to look like. So just be aware of that as you're painting. Make sure you're constantly looking at your reference photo back and forth and making sure that you're not kind of just doing your own thing with it. It's really easy to get in the rhythm of it and stop looking and start just, you know, painting intuitively, which there's nothing wrong with that if that's the style of art you're trying to do. Like, that's beautiful, but if you're trying to do realistic art, you're not going to get there by doing it that way. All right, let me see. What do I want now? I think I'm going to get the smaller Filbert, do some of these little dibby-dab things that are way back in the back. And I'm going to get some of that blue, that's my original color, maybe a little bit of white. I want to keep these fairly light. And I'm seeing yellows, and I'm seeing kind of greens and other colors, but I want them kind of muted, so I'm going to get a little bit of that background color just to add to it, and hopefully that'll help sort of mute them a little bit. And I'm just going to dab in some yellow. That's the cadmium yellow medium, or no, the cadmium yellow deep. Sorry. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little bit more intense color down here at the bottom. And we'll be putting grasses over the top of this, so I want these to kind of peek through the grasses and do do some of these now. All right, get some cadmium yellow light. You don't have to do too many of them, but and these will just kind of, again, be visible, but not really the main star. Let me get some white again, and let's get some of the red and mute that red. Cadmium Red Medium and white. And maybe just dab it. I'm kind of trying to keep them in sort of a football shape, you know. Not quite circles. The farther away that flower is, the more kind of flattened out it usually looks, unless it's perfectly turned towards us. But often flowers that are pointing up, unless you're looking straight down at them, they're turned on their side, so you're seeing them as an oval shape. Okay, get a little bit more of that red, a little bit brighter red, and do some of it down here. Okay, then let's make some orange. I'm going to get some of that Pyrrole orange and maybe add a little bit of that to the red that I was just doing. Do some of that up here. You can cluster these colors if you want, like if you want all the red ones sort of clustered on one side and then have a couple on another side. I'm sort of spreading out the love here and letting them all kind of live together, integrated, but sometimes you'll have, you know, a group of flowers growing together, and then maybe there'll be a cluster of orange and then no orange until you get over here, and then there'll be another cluster of orange, that kind of thing. Okay. And let's get some of the blue, Ultramarine Blue, maybe a little bit of the Phthalo blue. These would be the kind of bachelor buttons that I'm seeing in the picture. It's kind of blue cornflower type paint, type flowers. And we already sort of started with some of these, but we're just going to add a few more and maybe go back over some of the ones we started and make sure there's some nice coverage. Getting a little bit darker, and so going a little bit more saturated with the ones down at the bottom of the canvas. And you can go a little bit more detailed if you want to be, you know, a little bit more give it a little bit more detail, but most of this is going to get covered up by grass, so we're just trying to kind of lay the groundwork for what we're going to do here in a minute. All right, let me get the yellow and a little bit of that orange and make bright yellow orange, and again add some white. All these back here getting some white added. It seems like a lot, but if you look between the lines in your picture, there's a lot of colors happening in between these flowers that are peeking through. So that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to get some more of that cadmium yellow and maybe grab some of my green. If you don't have green gold, you can mix it with like a cadmium yellow and a little touch of phthalo green. It helps if it's like a golden yellow like this one. You can see this has kind of made a nice olive toned green. You can also get kind of an olive toned green mixing ultramarine blue with yellow, which we'll probably do here in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and use this and just use the edge of my brush. And you can see that yellow color is really adding a nice golden hue. And we're just going to draw in some little bit more detailed lines, grasses, and go right up over the top of those flowers. We don't have to worry about them at all. In fact, we want them to look like they're kind of buried. Those are our background flowers. Those are not the ones that we want to look like they're coming close to us. Go all the way down with these. Don't go from the top all the way up, but do kind of layers where up here you're doing thinner ones that are a little bit shorter maybe. And then in the middle we can do some longer ones, and then do some that come off the end of the canvas down here completely. Okay. Good. I think I'm going to switch back to my angle brush, or I don't think, oops, I haven't used this one yet. I don't think. I'm going to get the angle brush. And that way I can get some taller blades of grass and I don't have to reload so often. So I'm going to get some of that Cobalt Teal and maybe mix it with this Ultramarine Blue that I had over here. Cobalt Teal, maybe a little bit of so Ultramarine Blue, Cobalt Teal, which Cobalt Teal is just Phthalo Green and Phthalo Blue mixed with white. So it's Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, and white is what this color is. So basically just a light baby blue kind of color. I'm going to use it for some of the grasses and do a few of them with that. Not a lot, but just every now and then I'm seeing a little bit of blue in these grasses. And that's probably the color filter that I used on that photo, but I like it, so I'm going to do it, you know. Doesn't have to make sense. Somebody was like, I had a patron who like sent me a mean letter once, and she was like, you don't have to use turquoise in every single painting. And I'm like, yeah, well, I can. It's my painting. It's my rules. I get to do what I want. Like, really? Like, of all the things for her to be mad about. I thought that was hilarious.
And when they paint theirs, they're not forced
Exactly.
to use those colors.
Leave it out. If you don't like the color, don't do it.
You will not be arrested.
No, I will not even know unless you tell me.
Are you sure?
And you don't have to tell me if you don't want. In fact, you know, probably don't need to know if you don't really like me. So it's okay. It's not going to do anything to benefit my day. You might feel better. I don't know.
Oh, well. Okay, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. No, it used to really bother me when I, you know, get those. I don't talk about it, or even, I just kind of, nobody has energy for that anymore. It's been a while though. We go through these stages where we'll have, you know, angry messages, and then we'll go a while without them. So it's been a while. We've been fortunate.
People have found other things to do.
Right, exactly. When we've blocked all the mean people. Maybe. Don't call that a challenge. I don't want it.
Challenge.
Challenge accepted.
Gauntlet has been laid.
All right, so this is Phthalo Green and Unbleached Titanium. I think I added some of this teal that I had from before, which was the Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, and Burnt Sienna and Burnt Umber right here. So just adding some white to that and some more Phthalo Green and Unbleached Titanium. So just making, really basically just make any green that you can think of, and we're just going to throw it all in here. So if you have a green that you really like, use a little bit more of that. And you know, if you have one, but it is important to have like some neutral greens that aren't like all very bright. So keep that in mind. Or when I say bright, I mean saturated, not light. Like light as in, you know, this versus this. That's light in value, dark and light. But by bright, I just mean like intense color, like straight out of the tube color. You know, you want to be cutting it with some phthalo green or ultramarine or burnt umber or something like that. All right, so I'm going to get, speaking of ultramarine, I'm going to get ultramarine. Probably didn't need burnt sienna because it's already going to be pretty neutral, but we'll see. And some cadmium yellow light. This is going to make a kind of muddy, ugly brownish green, but we're going to want some of that here. Not a lot, but those browns and grays and muddy colors can really actually make your bright colors pop more. So don't be afraid of using them every now and then, especially in something like this where we're going to have a ton of colors going on. They can really kind of help like rest the eye and give more weight to the colors that we want to really shine. So I'm going to add several of these kind of brownish colored grasses in here, and I'm literally just holding my brush and pulling it down towards me to get these colors to come off. I think I'm going to get the burnt sienna and just kind of mix whatever's left in my brush with that and use some burnt sienna and to get some darker browns. And grasses do turn brown when they, you know, start to age. So it's a lot of times you'll see a lot of brown in grass. All right, if you stop to look, you know. All right, that looks pretty good, believe it or not. And you could always kind of just like do the whole painting like this and just do, you know, dabs of like reds, clusters of reds and pinks. And I've seen paintings like that, or, you know, bigger clusters of circles and things. That'd be really lovely. And this would be a way to start a painting like that. But we're going to go and start to add a little bit of detail to our paintings now. So once it looks like, you know, pretty much a hot mess here, we'll start to add our flowers. It'll all start to come together, I promise. We're on the right track, I promise. All right, let's see. I've got no room to work here, but I think I'm going to just dip into my pure color. Get some of that cadmium yellow medium, or cadmium yellow deep, or medium, whichever you've got. If you don't have it, just add a little orange to your cadmium yellow light. This is just kind of an orangey, warmer yellow. A little deeper. So pulling some color off. I like to pull it from the side, but it's coming right from the middle there. It's already drying on me. And okay, let's try that. So I'm using a round brush now. This is in 2 round, and I'm gonna do these petals back here. Now this one is upward. I'm gonna move it up even more, I think, just to use up all this space up here. So I'm gonna keep it in this very narrow area and do the outside petals first, kind of establish my boundaries, and then do a few kind of inside that are a little shorter and a little shorter on the bottom. These ones here are just going to be like little sideways plops. Plop, plop. Another little short one there, and then maybe a couple plops up there. And we'll let that be and let it dry, and then we'll add our center to it and then finish off the petals. But that's pretty much all I need for now. And I might add a little bit of white to these because the green is pretty dominant there, so I'm going to add a little bit of white just so that it shows up a little bit better. And then when we do our final layer, we can add more of that brilliant color. There we go. That'll show up a little bit better for us. All right, so let's do one tuck back here in the wildness of all of this. And depending on how hard I press down, though I get wider petals. I'm literally just kind of rolling it through this paint. My paint is really thick on my brush, though, so I'm not trying for perfect petals here. I'm just trying to get this background covered. So I kind of have to have pretty thick paint on my brush in order not to have to paint these 3 times to get them to cover. So there, and thinking about where my center is gonna be, aiming for that area. This one is pretty much facing us, so we can, it's kind of a little bit tilted up, so I can add some wider petals on either side here if we want. Maybe it's widening it out just a little bit. Something like that. Get a little bit more white here. And then there's another one. So there's a big pink flower sort of in here. There's a blue kind of thistle flowers. Oh, fly. So I think this one's gonna go somewhere in here. There's a spiky flower that I'm gonna do right through here, so I want to leave room for that. So I think I'm gonna do it right here. And you could draw this out if you want. I will have a traceable if you do not draw and you're like, this is really intimidating me. I will have a traceable for my patrons there. There's a, on Patreon, there's a, the
Words.
right, yeah, sorry.
There's a level on Patreon supporters.
Yes,
Today it's $5.
right,
Right.
yes.
And it's also available at the $15 level.
That's yeah, exactly. You can get them for the $15 level too, and that includes all traceables that I've ever done.
Ooh, free on YouTube.
Yeah, we're looking into right now. Patreon is going to be adding individual sales of traceables eventually. So if you don't want to, sign up for the monthly membership, you can buy just one traceable, one off. But it's still going to be a better deal always to just, you can cancel the same day. So you can sign up and then cancel immediately and get a full month of access. It gives you a full month no matter, how long whenever you cancel, and then just download as many as you can in that month. I'm telling people how to cheat the system, basically, but, I don't want it to, keep you from, if you can't afford, to month. I totally get it. Stuff's expensive right now, so that's a way to do it. But it does help support our channel, and it helps keep these videos that we do here on YouTube free, because
YouTube don't pay.
YouTube doesn't, especially lately. YouTube is not cooperating.
But because of our thousands of incredible supporters over on Patreon,
Yeah, we're doing fine.
we're doing okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes. All right, so there we go. We'll let those set and dry really well. And there's going to be some more yellow, but I want to get my big flowers in first, and then we can fit the smaller ones around them. The big ones are kind of the more important ones to do first. So let's go ahead and I'm trying to think. I could probably do either one of these 2 brushes for my poppies. I think I might get a little bit more versatility out of the angle brush, since the poppies kind of have interesting, they're not like perfectly rounded always. This fly's about to do me in. Or I'm about to do it in one or the other.
Do I need to get the...
Might need to get the fly swatter. It keeps
The
buzzing
swatter.
around me. I don't know why he's messing with me.
Because you know he can.
Because I what?
Because you know he can.
Yeah,
So-
he just keeps... He's trying to get my water, I think. He was trying to land.
Remember the good old days of the styrofoam plates?
Yes,
Used to do a whole painting on just one styrofoam plate.
that's true. Yeah, this is really nice. I can't remember who sent me this first. One of our followers sent me this, and I never
Turn back.
knew how wonderful it was going to be until I started using it. I was like, it's pretty awesome. It doesn't, the only bad thing is that with the foam plates, I could save my paint. So I could stick it in a plastic bag. I can't do that anymore, but it's worth it for the convenience. That was just a knife blade there, X-Acto scraper. Yeah, just one of those hardware store scrapers. And
But of course, there's links down below to
Yes.
Amazon where these are listed,
yes.
in case you're wanting 1 or 2 or 7
Mm-hmm.
UBU.
This one is the 12 by 16 size, but I have the top of it covered with my water stuff, so it continues on to about right here. It's pretty good size. But I find that this is probably a 12 by 12 area that I work with on it, and it works fine for me. If I didn't have to have all this on camera, I might move it sideways and do it differently, but I've got to get all of this under the camera, so it works this way. All right. Let's see. Oh, we're almost not even an hour. Nice.
46 minutes.
Very good. Good, good, good.
I'm doing great, man.
You are...
Moving things along here.
You. All right, thank you, honey. All right, so one thing I need to decide is if I'm going to put any of the flowers behind my poppies, and if I do, then I need to do that first. There are these like pink flowers here, but I don't think they're overlapping, so I think I'm gonna be fine just to go ahead and paint in my poppies now. So I'm gonna get the cadmium red, a little bit of the magenta, just to zhuzh it up, make it a little bit brighter. And then I'm gonna add white, and that will help it cover the background. And we will be adding more bright red on top of this, but this white will help block that green from shining through our red and affecting the color. So, all right, that looks good. Just kind of a medium. You don't need to add a lot of white, just enough that it covers up the green. And we're just going to put in kind of whatever shape. I think I want to do kind of a open poppy up here that we can see inside. And they have these kind of ruffly shape petals. Make sure I'm getting pretty thick coverage there with this paint. I think I can go a little bit deeper, and then down here this is going to come around. This is going to be the open center. I'll use the magenta to kind of mark out where the center is going to be. So the center of that is going to be like right there. So I want these to kind of wrap around. And then there's one petal that's kind of going to be open and facing us that is going to just be coming straight across, just about. Something like that. Just kind of turning it down right there and just plopping my brush across to create that shape. Okay, looks good. So might bring that up just a little bit. We'll let that set and dry. Right now it's a pink poppy, but it's not going to stay that color. It can though, if we want to. We had pink ones too. Speaking of, I'm going to make a pink one right now with the magenta and white. And do one right here that's kind of pink. I had a little too much of that red in my brush still, but it's fine. I can make it more pink later. Just again, trying to get that red or that green covered. And let's go ahead and use this color. Let's use it back here. I'm gonna just kind of do some random shape right there, and then maybe another kind of random shape over there. Okay. Wipe that out. Get some more of this original red. Do I think I'm going to move it down here. So I've got some blue that are going to be here. This tall spiky one coming up here. Another spiky one right there. So we'll put a red poppy right, like bud right there. Looks good. And then this kind of half open one. I think, where do we want to do it? Tall spiky blue. Oh yeah, there's Daisy here. Okay, so I'm going to move it over a little bit and leave room for maybe something else to go right here. So I'm going to put it right here. So maybe use this pink. The center of it is got two petals kind of overlapping, this one and this one, like that. And then the other petals are kind of coming flat and down. And then there's another one that is coming up, again flat and kind of curving this way. So it's sort of curving up. Looks like a hat, like a cowboy hat almost. Okay, that'll be good. And then I'm going to use this a couple of these other ones and kind of target some of these ones that I've already put in and just add more intense color around them. Maybe you can put as many of these as you want to. You know, if you really like poppies, you could do the whole thing with poppies. In fact, I have paintings like that on my channel. We have so many flower paintings. You go to my website and type in flowers, there's probably at least 400 flower paintings out of the 1,000 on there. I bet you at least half of them are flowers, just about.
And how many are tanks?
What?
How many are tanks?
One.
One? Okay. Sounds like about the right ratio.
Exactly.
Because y'all didn't watch it.
You if they watched it, I would have painted more tanks.
More.
And less people watch it.
I'm blaming all of you.
If you want Marks to get more tank videos, you're gonna have to go back and watch the tank.
That one, exactly.
About
50,000 times.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. We'd have to get about, at least 50,000 views on it. Then I would be like, yeah, that would be worth doing some more.
We're like 20% there after 6 years.
How many views is on it? Last time I checked, it was like 7,000. All right, I'm getting a magenta, ultramarine blue here to make a purple, adding white and I'm kind of keeping it sort of mid-tone, but we've got some darker over here. I usually start out with the darker and then kind of pull my whatever's on my brush over and add white to it so that I have two versions of the same color.
9,000 views.
Wow. Somebody likes tanks. Somebody has been watching that. Have you been watching it on your lunch break? Just like running it?
It's on repeat.
It's like she's gonna make another one. I know it. If I watch this enough, she'll make another one. All right, so that looks good. These are like little flocks or something. I'm not really sure what kind of flower these are, but we're just gonna dab. There's gonna be some stems coming off, but I haven't done the stems yet, so I'm not worried about that. I'll add those later. They're just kind of little clusters of blossoms, not quite like larkspur or anything. They're sort of like look like maybe little individual flowers that are all kind of clustered on these together. So, and I'm just coming through dark, medium, light, having all three on here. They're all kind of on my brush. And we'll do some over here. Usually we'll do like the kind of medium color, then come in and dab in some dark, and then finish up with the light, but whatever kind of works for you as you're doing it. Sometimes it just kind of, if the paint's going down well and I'm getting decent, like this is going on pretty good for me, so I'm able to get my light colors on here too. That looks pretty good. Let's add just a little bit of this color so that it's not the only two places. I'm going to add a little bit of it down here, just like maybe a few of those are peeking through down there. Okay, that looks good. And let's go ahead and add our stems to this. So I'm going to get the burnt sienna and phthalo green. And I'm just using this angle brush, and I'm going to pull from each one of those little clusters a little stem down. Something like that. Boop, boop. Kind of have them all kind of coming together down here. You can do this before you do your paint your flowers. It's probably easier if you do it that way. I'm going to get a little bit of the unbleached titanium just so that this shows up. We'll see. I don't know. It may need to be darker. Depends on how dark your background is where you're putting these, but I'm going to drop in a few leaves also, just setting my brush down to create that bladed leaf shape. Just like that. Okay. Ooh, thunder.
Yeah, we pull the onions to let them dry, and it's going to rain. It's going to rain for the first time.
Oh no! Should we pull them inside?
Weeks. Yeah, I might go grab them.
Yeah, you probably need to.
But people have been asking about Stickman here in chat. And how they like the video. Stickman video has more views than the tank video.
Yeah. It's funnier.
But I think he needs to make a comeback. He's a crowd favorite.
Okay. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
I was just...
I'll get it. I'll get one drawn up for next week. It's going to take me about a week to get it perfected.
Okay.
I made it look too easy in that video. It's not. I mean, that was after a lot of practice.
It's not as easy as you made it look.
So
right. Okay.
We'll get it.
Adding some magenta to the stems here. Magenta and burnt sienna.
Okay, I'll be back.
No, okay.
Get the onions.
Go save the onions. I'm gonna use this color too and just dab in some like little dots of this darker magenta color in some places. Okay. Fun. All right, so let's get a little bit of white. I'm going to get a little tiny bit of my pink color. It doesn't take much. And I'm going to kind of pick out some of these flowers and just add a little bit of a like crisscross to center. Little bloop of, doesn't have to be a perfect circle. In fact, I like it if it's not, just a couple little dots in a cluster to create that illusion of a flower center. And then if you want to, you can kind of define a few petals. This is too bright. I want it a little bit darker. Can kind of, I'm turning my brush so that I'm getting the center sort of facing, and I'm doing sort of the same thing here, that I'm, the ones that are coming at us, the flower petals that are open, you know, you've got a flower petal like this. The ones on the side will look generally like an oval shape, you know, depending on how circular the petal is or whatever. But the ones that are coming straight at us are going to look like a dot or a line if they're on their side. So these ones, the poppies, have like long, thin petals. They're really wide, and when they're turned on their side, they look like a straight line. And these ones too, they're kind of facing away from us. So I'm doing sort of at the bottom of the flower where I think the petals might be facing us. I am doing these little kind of lines. And then, you know, out the upper top portions, I'm doing, let me do it on paper so it's more obvious what I'm doing here. Ooh, brand new notebook. Okay, here we go. So upper petals, maybe going to be like that. There, maybe that one's kind of on its side, and then this one at the bottom, if it's facing us, is going to be like a little bloop like that. Maybe this one's a little wider, but you get the idea. So, and you know, depending on the shape of the petal, we may want to round it out a little bit more or whatever. I left that center wide, but it's just using this brush in different ways. And a lot of times these rounded ones, I'll just smush the brush down. The angle brushes can do all kinds of different shapes. So, you know, depending on how much of an angle that I place on it. And here, if I want to do a line one, I'm just going to kind of set it down and pull, and then turn it over and set it down and pull, and then I can get kind of a curved line, and then, you know, fill back in if I need to. I'm really not doing a ton of detail on these though, and then I'm just clustering other ones right up next to them, and so you're not really telling which ones are, you know, which, a lot of times with these clustered flowers, but every now and then you'll have one that kind of, you know, you just want to detail out and then get a little bit of white and maybe give it a little center here and there like that. And then you end up with the cluster of flowers just by kind of dabbing the brush around. But if you kind of keep in mind this general shape for some of them, you know, just every now and then, some of them will be facing straight at you and will be more rounded all over, or maybe have 5 petals. I don't know. I honestly can't tell from the picture how many petals these flowers have, so I'm guessing 4 or 5, you know. All right, let's keep on going. So I'm just gonna add a few more like little details to these. Now that I did that, it's kind of made me want to detail these out a little bit more. All right, so that looks good. And we'll dab in a little bit of highlight on some of these down here too. saved them. Here, let me have a pepperoni. I'll let that fall. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to take off my chalk now because I want to be able to kind of tell what I've got here. Oop, picked up some of my purple there. Make sure your paint's dry. Don't go near the purple ones. I think everything else is dry. Oops, that one's not. I just said stay away from the purple ones. Wasn't listening. Okay. Looks good. Just a wet towel. If you use school chalk, it comes off real easy. That's why I like using it. And I use a dustless chalk, so it's very little dust gets kicked up or messes with the colors of the painting. All right. I'm going to dip all of these back into the water to make sure they don't dry out or work in here. But you can see now sort of what's happening here. This background is starting to look farther away now that we're getting these larger flowers in front of it. It'll continue to do so as we put more and more flowers in front of it, and eventually it'll, you know, look like it's really, really distant. All right, I want to put in the stems this time first. I'm going to do it the right way here. So get a little bit of that green gold and some unbleached titanium. Maybe a little bit of the phthalo green, burnt umber. We'll see. So let me put stems out to these flowers that need them. I'm going to kind of go right over the top. This one is sort of widening out at the top, so I'm going to kind of just use that tip of the brush to draw in that wider base of the flower. This is not a good brush for this. Let me do this again with the proper brush. These are fine for lines, but not great for detail. At least not this kind of detail. All right, so I'm going to use the number 2 round and just do that line with that. There we go. There we go. I might get a little bit of the burnt sienna and add a little bit darker color underneath there. Just like a little triangle underneath the flower. Now that's only on the ones that are, you know, facing away from us that we're seeing that. On the ones that aren't, we can just go right up to the flower and it's fine. These ones are kind of right up in the mess. Some of them you won't even need to put stems because there's so many. It could be any number of these, you know, leading to it, but I'm going to do these ones because I want the stem to be part of the flower. It's got a nice curve to it in that picture that I'm looking at. And this one is a little bit wider because we're seeing it so much from the side. If you're in a dark area, use a lighter color. If you're in a light area, use a darker color. And then I'm going to get a little bit of the lighter color and just go over that. Add just on a few of them. It doesn't have to be all of them, but these are pretty large stems on these ones, on the poppies. And I want to do some of the seed heads too, so some of these have seed heads that are drying. Kind of like a triangle shape there. Get a little bit more of that darker green. Don't need too many of these, but you know, maybe just a few of them. We already put a few of these in, so we're not needing to do a ton, but just want to, you know, maybe this is one of the poppy ones. So it's got a little bit of a rounded top, and then it sort of makes this, oh, got one right here. It's kind of a shape. I just think the seed pods themselves are pretty. Okay. My little, I'll show you my little kitty. Kitty face. Isn't that fun? Got some poppy seed heads and different dried flowers. She sits right up there, overlooking. That's our little cashmere. Ode to Cashmere, our kitty. Missing. He passed away. When did she, well, I don't remember. Like earlier this year. Or it was before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Been a minute. Been longer than I thought.
Time goes by fast.
Mm-hmm. Okie doke. Let me see. Ooh, I put that white there and then never used it. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of that green gold color to that white and use it on my seed pod there just to give it a little highlight. Leave it a little bit dark on the top. I love the seed pods for poppies because they're like little salt shakers. They have these built-in holes. It's ingenious. Oh, come on, focus. Focus. There we go. See all the way around right in there? Those are holes to the center. This is the part where the seeds are. Come on. There we go. See all those little holes on the sides? Right there, and the seeds fall out. I don't think. Oh, there are some. Yeah. The seeds fall out. That's pretty cool. Nature's little salt shakers.
Pepper shakers.
Yeah, pepper shakers. All right. Pretty cool. All right. We'll do some more of those seed pods down here, but for now, I think we'll continue on. Let's go ahead and put the centers of these flowers in. So I think I'm going to use my dark brown and then grab some phthalo blue and magenta. I'll make a dark purple. If you have purple, you can use purple and burnt sienna. That's kind of my favorite color for this. Just a dark, almost black color. I'm going to go straight across, and then it's got a dome right here because we're seeing it from the side. So tap, 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 like that. Wow, it looks like a flower all of a sudden. Huh, amazing. It's crazy. Tap, tap, tap. This one is a little bit more oval. And then this one, again, kind of oval shape. don't tap too hard because I'm using a soft brush, so you don't want to abuse these soft brushes. All right, that looks good. We'll let that dry and then we'll add some highlights to this. But that yellow went on pretty well in the first go. I'll probably add a little bit of the deeper color just to give it, you know, some shadows in here, but did pretty well. So let me go ahead and do that while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to get burnt sienna and my cadmium yellow deep. Mix them kind of about 50-50. And then I'm just going to set it right up against that dark color. I probably should have done this before I put my centers in, but that's fine. We can always paint over it if we get some of this color on the center, which I am. I'm just gonna kind of dry brush some color there. You don't want it to get too fussy with it there. Okay, so now we have a little depth to our flower. These ones, you might see a little bit of this underneath, but here we go. They kind of pinch when they get to the center, so that's what we're trying to replicate, is that kind of darkening that happens when those petals sort of pinch together to
Kind of fold.
Yeah, they fold up. Yeah. To
So
attach to the.
I'm gonna rat you out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What did I do?
That you were dissing some flowers yesterday.
I was. I was. I mean, what's the point of being a flower if you only open at night? That's what I'm saying. The bees aren't up at night. No, nobody. Who's pollinating? Probably moths. They're probably there for the moths. But I'm not awake to see them. I mean, or I'm not out there to see them. I should say I am awake.
You're very
I'm
awake.
for sure awake. But I'm not trudging out in the garden to look at them at night. Yeah, I know, Mark. Sorry, I ruined your story.
No, that's okay. I'm glad that you own it, and you're at least you're admitting it.
I 100% admit it. I'm not a fan of evening primrose. We're like, ooh, they've got some flowers out here. Yeah. And then Mark looked up. I'm like, yeah, they.
Well, I had gone out. I had turned the sprinkler on at night because we didn't have any rain. So I was out there just making sure it was, getting the whole area, and then noticed, oh, those flowers are open. And then the next morning, they're not open.
Yeah.
Oh, they bloom at night.
It's fine. If they were closer to the house, I don't think it would offend me so much. But, they're like way the heck out by the fence.
In the wildflower garden.
In the wildflower garden. We do. We're okay, I have to say, those burpy wildflower mixed seed packets or whatever they were, I literally threw we got them for free from the guy at Tractor Supply last year. So they were a year old and just one of those combo wildflower mixes. And there were 2 or 3 different kinds. And I literally just tossed them out into this area that Mark had put fresh dirt. And they all came up we have wildflowers. It's beautiful. I don't know if I have any pictures of it. I'm putting a second coat on this yellow, by the way. So if you're like, what is she doing? This is just that cadmium yellow. I think I'm adding a little bit of the cadmium yellow light, but you can see the difference here before and after, before and after. Do that the right way. Actually, I do have, because I got that turtle when I was doing the turtle. If I can find the video, I can play it real quick. It's really pretty. Be in my video somewhere. I've got that turtle. Yeah, video with the turtle. I was thinking I might paint a turtle, but then I was like, I don't know if people would put a turtle in their house, up on the wall. I'm trying to limit myself this year to since we're not doing Saturday shows anymore. Trying to limit myself to things that people actually want to hang on their walls, and I'm not sure if turtles. I'm interested in painting it. I'm just not sure if you all are. So if you want to see turtle a little box turtle, let me know in the comments, because I think it'd be fun to paint. But he was super cute. I didn't get great pictures of him though, because he wouldn't stand still for me.
There's a bunch of turtle pictures and videos.
Oh yeah, I got some pictures of the wildflowers when I was out there though, with him. There we go. Bad zoom. There we go. But it's not bad. There, those are Morning Glory, right there. Yeah, there he is. He wasn't cooperating, but.
And they're more bloomy right now.
Yeah, way more blooming. That was a few weeks ago, when they were first starting. So. But yeah, you can see, they're all. Come on. Focus. There we go. But you can see. I mean, you know. And this is all starting to come up with flowers. It's like all filled in. It's crazy. I was very surprised.
We had our deal out there that has the butterflies.
Yes, we got some caterpillars out there on our deal. This is a second group of caterpillars.
I don't know what they call them.
I don't know. But yeah, that deal's about had it after two rounds of caterpillars.
Yeah, we probably had a total of maybe 12 to 16 caterpillars out there.
Yeah, that dill's as tall as me though. It's really tall right now. It's really big.
It's a monster dill, I think it's called.
Is it?
Yep. The seeds are all gone. I planted all of them this year because they were several years old. I wasn't sure it would come up, but it did.
It did, yeah. Oh, our garden. It's been a weird year. It's been a weird year just in general the last few years, but my tomatoes are doing great. Nothing. Well, I got a few little tomatoes, but the cucumber, which usually takes off as soon as I put it in the ground, is doing nothing. Like, it does not like our soil.
It might be 4 inches tall.
I mean, it's been out there for weeks like that too. Like literally, I don't know what's going on with it. So
Bugs
probably need to. Yeah, the bugs ate the squash.
But there's watermelon.
We got a good sized watermelon. This is the first year that we've had watermelon. Yeah, they're doing all right. So all right, I think part of me thinks that I'm getting this dark color again here. I'm going to fix what I've kind of painted over. Part of me thinks that like the first year is always good because the bugs don't know it's there yet, and then that's why like they don't do as well after, because that first couple of years we did squash was amazing. We had so many squash, we were like giving them away. And then the last few years we've just, as soon as we plant it, we just have tons of bugs on
the squash was doing good, and then we went away for the weekend, and that's when they took over.
Well, because you weren't out there to
right,
fend them
exactly.
off. Yeah.
It's amazing what 3 days did.
Yeah. No,
I feel for
menace.
The farmers out there who are trying to do a living like this.
Gee whiz. Yeah, because we're just doing it for a hobby, just for fun. I sent Mark a video the other day. It was like a little strawberry plant with just like one tiny little strawberry on it, and they were picking like, you too can be the owner of a $500 strawberry. Weeks of work and water, soil, energy, and that's about us.
Well, we've had $500 tomatoes before.
Well, we have totally had $500 tomatoes multiple times. Yes. All right, adding some burnt sienna to this. So I took that color, that purple that I had mixed, which was the phthalo blue and magenta with burnt umber, and now I'm adding burnt sienna and white. So I'm just using that here in the center of these to add some detail. These are turning out way more realistic than I had planned on, but I can't help myself. All right, let's keep on going, because otherwise we're gonna spend all the time on these flowers and run out of time for everything else. What time is it? Oh, it's 7:30. Yeah, I need to not be spending so much time on that. All right, let's keep going here and fast. I'm getting we're just talking about garden. I'm having fun. Just taking my time.
Enjoying yourself while you're painting.
I
That's
am.
all it's all about.
Yeah. I'm going to pull in some of this pink here, which was the magenta and the ultramarine blue, and add the phthalo blue and ultramarine blue mixture and the unbleached titanium. That's going to be my color for the thistle. I need to leave room right here for my big pink flower. So I'm going to do the thistle up here.
And I took a quick poll. People are ready for a painting sale.
Painting sale? Okay. Awesome.
Let's do it.
All right. I think, yeah, it's been a couple of years since I've done a painting sale, so it's time for sure. I'm going to do one here. We'll probably have a patron discount too, which we did last time. So if you're thinking about, if you're on the fence about Patreon and you are, I'm not doing a hard sale here, I'm just informing. If you are wanting to buy a painting and all, then yeah, you might be a good time to sign up to get that discount code. So we'll have that. We have other perks that we do for our patrons too. We do Patreon only giveaways from time to time also. Although we had so much trouble with shipping last time we did a giveaway, we may not be doing one for a while.
That was rough.
Yeah. All right, so there's a few of those thistles. Normally I do 3 of things, but I don't think I'm not gonna mess with that. I think it'll be fine, and I'm just gonna dab on a little bit of darker color. So I did the dark blue. It wasn't showing up very well, so I kind of went over it with the lighter blue. So there's kind of a couple colors there. These ones are not particularly realistic looking, so in order to match up their neighbor there, I need to add a little bit more of the darker blue, I think. There we go. All right, let's do our big pink flowers, and then we'll do our poppies, finish our poppies, do a little daisy. Should probably ought to start the daisy because it's white. Let me do that because the white is going to take a couple coats. So let me get my white and we'll do blue flowers through here, do pink, so I'm going to do my daisy right here. And, you know, we've got several of these wildflower paintings that this is probably the 3rd, I think, 3rd or 4th, while specifically this style of wildflower painting. The first few were a little bit less detailed. I'm kind of going a little bit more detailed than I had intended here. I'm just kind of getting lost in the fun of it. What were you laughing at?
Yeah, I can hear something.
Sounds like barking. Sounds like another dog out there. All right. Do this little offshoot flower thing. Dad, you do not know. Hi, Pupper.
I have a question.
Okay. Why gray palettes? Is there a concern with white? Gray helps you see the values better. It's not necessarily the color, it's just more of the value, and really the gray is also neutral, you know, so you're not getting a tint affecting the colors that you're mixing, you know. And if you started with a color, then like if I had a red palette, my greens would look different than on a gray palette. It's just the way, you know, they look darker there than they do here against the green, same color. So having a palette that's a neutral helps with that, and it also helps so that I can tell if I go over this white, that color looks a lot brighter than it does here. So it helps me see the value of the color, and I can mix these lighter colors and get these really bright whites. If I start with the white palette, everything looks too dark. And I tend to not, you might tend to not go super dark or as dark as you need to on some of these areas, and you might end up with your painting look a little bit more flat. So that's the theory behind it. I painted on white palettes for years, so it's, you know, you compensate, but it is nice to have the gray. And you see that in a lot, like the painter's palettes, the palette paper is what I mean. Palette paper usually comes in gray to the kind that you can get for painting on. So I am trying to get a little bit more detail on these little star-like ones, just dabbing on. They've got kind of like fuzzies that happen. Get a little bit more white here. There's actually some magenta too, I'm seeing, so might do a little bit of magenta with this. I don't know, I'm not loving those. I feel like they're gonna require a little more TLC to get them to looking right. Okay, dab, dab, dab. I think just having a little there, that's better. That's what it needed. See, that needed that contrast. Dabbing a little bit of really bright, having that dark under there. There we go. Now we have a little bit more realism. Very good. All right, so let's do this one here. I think I'm going to go back to this angle brush. These are kind of tube-shaped flowers, and they're kind of pink. So I'm going to do a few little dabs on the top of little. I'm loading my brush pretty heavy because I want these to go on without having to do a ton to them. So I'm gonna do like that, almost like they're reminding me of. They could be like what?
Hollyhocks?
No, hollyhocks are taller. Good try. No, wrong.
I got one of
Buzzer.
those.
You get the buzzer.
Hold on, I think I got one of those.
The snapdragons. That's what I'm saying. So kind of setting my brush down and trying to pull up to get that kind of tubular shape, almost like a foxglove or something too. Could be false foxglove or one of those kind of wildflowers. Okay, that looks good. All right, so I think that's about all I'm going to do with those, and I can put some if I need to. Like, there's no connection to the flower, so I might put a little dab at the top of them where they're attaching, just so that they don't look like they're floating. But that's all I'm gonna do there. Fit it in kind of around those other flowers. All right, let's do the large pink one that's supposed to be in here. I don't know if I've got room for it. I need some more white. Brand new tube. I ordered myself some keys. I was at a store buying hand lotion the other day, and they had these little fancy keys that rolled up the lotion. I'm like, ooh, I need those for my paint. So I ordered some off of Amazon. We'll see. I'll let you know if they work, which I figure they probably will. Getting some of this white. I'm just going to use the tip of it, and I'm going to leave this dark color in the center, so I'm only going to do this on the tips of the flowers that I want brighter. And that way, that darker color that's already sort of there, which is the kind of white being, the green seeing through the white from our first layer. Just make it work for us. We'll leave that. There we go. And then those are, what color is that? Yellow, but it's kind of got a green middle and then yellow, so it goes green to yellow. So I'm gonna get that green first and sort of dab that in first, and then we'll put some maybe burnt sienna and cadmium yellow deep. Dab that in over it. Leave a little bit of that green showing, and then we'll let that dry because it's not going to take any more paint. It's pretty thick. All right. I probably should do more than just that one, but if I'm running out of time, so we'll just exactly. So we'll see what we have time for. I'm going to do these poppies, and then we'll come back to it if we have time. We're almost at our 2-hour time limit. I limit myself to 2 hours on Tuesdays, otherwise Mark doesn't get dinner. So
Well, while I got the onions, I snuck a piece of leftover pizza.
oh, right.
A guilty pleasure.
So you're good. So you're saying I can go till 9?
You can do whatever you want. I won't be here, but you go right ahead. You could go to like 2, 3 in the morning.
It's true. I'll be up. No, hopefully not. Sometimes.
Let me check my sleep app, see what time you came to bed last night.
It was late. All right, using the burnt, it was midnight. Quinacridone Magenta and Ultramarine Blue here. And I'm gonna, so I did the dark red at the top, and then I'm gonna use this and come in the opposite direction and just kind of flick it upward. And kind of create that kind of fuzzy. Maybe it hasn't come with that layer. All right, there we go. Something like that. This one has it down kind of at the bottom. And then, ooh, lost some of that cadmium there. That's too expensive to waste. Bought some new paints the other day, and I'm like, shoo. The large tubes that I'm using are like $30. Ooh, I know. Holy moly, when did they turn that expensive? I think the last time I bought them, they were like 20, 25 maybe. So they've gone up a lot. It's crazy. All right, doing some there, and then let me get some white and do some light pink. Think about where seeing some light might be hitting this flower. So sort of along the top of those petals. I'm trying to kind of create a little cup in here in the center. Looks good. Just dabbing on a few little random brush strokes to indicate some movement. They don't all have to be super defined. Let's do some of this on here. And then get some of that more bright red and do down. Get that really bright red. Come across with that. Actually probably need this darker red that's got a little bit of the magenta and burnt or ultramarine blue in it. Do that. I just need it darker right there. Okay, I have too much of that lighter color in here. I just need to clean out my brush, slow down. Okay, so that's the darker color that should show up now. There we go. Now it's showing up. Okay. What are you laughing at?
My shoelaces are very elastic.
Very loud.
Yes. I was trying to pull them up, but they're not like regular shoelaces. They're straight. I'll do that later.
I've got new shoes.
I'm being very sneaky.
It's not very sneaky if we can all hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Getting the burnt umber and some of the magenta and the ultramarine blue, make it dark black and dab that in. That one's closed up, that one's closed up. So really this one and that one are the only ones that are showing up. Just want it really dark in here. And then the center is kind of a light yellow-green. Get that yellow, cadmium yellow, light, a little bit of green gold, unbleached titanium. Dab that in. And I'm okay with it kind of mixing a little bit with that purple. It'll make it look a little bit more natural. And then maybe a little bit of white. And I'm going to use the tip of the brush and draw little lines, and just little tiny little lines. You could use a round brush or, you know, liner or whatever, but there we go. All right, and then I'll use a little bit of this in here. I'm not sure what was on this one, but I'm just going to dab it in a few little dabby dabs. Call that good. All right. This is still wet, so we'll stay away from that. Let's go ahead and put in our pink flowers. Get a little bit of magenta, a lot of white. And then when I say a little, I mean like a tiny little bit of magenta. It does not take much. Okay, so I'm going to put this flower. So they're going to be blue. Maybe I need to put it. Don't know. I didn't leave myself much room up here. So it's kind of a blade-shaped petal, pointy. We fit it in there just fine. Okay. A little bit of magenta here. What were you laughing at?
Nancy has pointed out that there's a poppy on the palette.
Aw. There sure is. That makes me think of Karen. She was always seeing stuff like that. That is too funny, Nancy. Is that my Aunt Nancy or
No.
Nancy?
But I don't think she would mind being your Aunt Nancy.
Exactly.
Adopted Aunt Nancy.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't mind being called correctly Aunt.
Aunt. No.
Aunt Nancy.
Aunt Nancy. All right. Those aren't my favorite, but you know, they're all right. I do feel like I need another one over here somewhere just to balance it because there's a lot of light colors happening over here. So, and this one didn't turn out as pink as I had intended it to be. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this over here, just like maybe there's a small one over here, and maybe there's a couple of buds too. I want to add a little bit more of that. Feeling over here. All right, and we've got a bunch of area here that we can do something with, so we might do some. Got these blue flowers here. Might do a couple bachelor buttons. I like blue flowers. If you're not a fan, like I've got a lot of blue in this one, so you can put more pink flowers if you prefer pink, but it's okay. I'm not gonna know. You do you. Getting some of that cadmium yellow light or medium and adding just a touch of burnt sienna. It just makes it a little bit deeper, makes it show up a little bit better against these flowers. So just a little bit right there. And then let's put some cadmium yellow light and cadmium yellow medium in the center of this one. I'm going to dab in a circle, leave just a tiniest little bit of green pop showing right there. Okay, looks good. And then there's some yellow in some of these too, so I might use that deeper burnt sienna color. Dots. Not seeing it a lot of them, but there's a couple of them that I'm seeing some yellow. Okay, there's some kind of marigold or something, and down here just kind of filler flowers with that yellow. Keep an eye on where you're placing them so that they're not all in a line. Okay, Looks good. Let's go ahead and add our little baby blue flowers. I think I might switch back to my, well, no, I can do some dots with this one. I'll stay with my big brush. And this time I'm going to do Phthalo blue instead of the Ultramarine blue. So the bachelor buttons, I'm using Ultramarine, and the forget-me-nots are like a light Phthalo blue. So let's just do cluster, dab them. They're overlapping, kind of like what I was showing in the example that I did. Well, Mark was, or were you in here when I was doing that? I can't remember. Oh no, you were saving the onions when I was doing that. Save the onions.
From the rain that hasn't come yet.
Oh, really? It was just threatening and then never did anything.
I looked at the radar. It looks like the nuclear plant is breaking up the storm.
Interesting. Why is that?
It's a joke. I don't know why it's diffusing, but we have a nuclear plant here, so that's my story.
Oh, okay. It freaked me out. We agreed to move here, and I don't know why. Well, I know why, because we came from the other side. We came from Little Rock when we first visited our town, and we didn't go by the nuclear plant. Like, I never even knew it was here, and we didn't go down to the water where it is. So I think my parents deliberately didn't. I kind of think there was a little bit of a strategy there, because we went driving in from the opposite direction, from the west. We lived in Arizona, and we moved in here to Arkansas, and I just remember coming up over the hill there, and you can see it clear from the road, from the freeway, and I was like, what the ever loving, where are we living? Yep. I wasn't happy. We're used to it now, but at the time,
No big deal.
no.
I'm doing fine with a third eye.
Right. Well, we're almost done here. I think it's turning out pretty good. I need a little bit more detail with these. They need a little bit of, they look kind of flat, like all of this. If you took a photo of it, very little contrast here. So I'm just going to bump up the contrast a little bit. That'll help give it a little bit more detail. So I'm going to take that magenta and burnt sienna, and I'm just going to kind of tap around the outside of that a little bit. Not everywhere, but just a little. See how it's kind of poking out a little bit more now? Dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. And then we'll do some brighter yellow. And so we'll have that dark, dark and the light, light, and that'll make it pop. And we're letting these dry. We'll add our white centers to them. We are going to come right down to the wire. I think we're going to make it, though. It's a goal. We're not timed. I kind of like to shoot for an hour.
Yeah, but
2 hours, I mean.
She's not considering the splatters that she's going to do.
Oh, I'm totally going to do splatters. I was going to do some more leaves, too.
Mm-hmm.
This bright yellow, cadmium yellow light, and white. I'm going to use it in this one too, the daisy. Nice. I'm going to use it on these bright. I don't think I'm going to use them on these unless I just kind of do some little little bit of highlighting on the very tips of some of them. It wouldn't hurt. Just to make them stand out a little bit more. Maybe the ones that are facing us, facing up. What do you guys want to see in July? Let me know in the chat here, because I'm going to be doing my July schedule. Trying to decide, do we want to do some sailboats? Do we want to do some animals? We did a lot of landscapes this month. Do we want to continue doing landscapes? Do we want more flowers? Do we want to do more vegetables? The vegetable, I think a lot of people actually painted the vegetables. I saw a lot of, I think even though the videos didn't do, like the asparagus video didn't do all that well, there was a lot of people actually painting them. So I think that I will do one more, so maybe share what vegetable if you want to see another one of those.
Is a Snickers bar a vegetable?
No.
Okay.
Then you don't want me.
Whatever.
Not interested. Pass.
Hard pass.
That is not true. You're being very good.
I am.
We're losing weight because we're going on a European vacation. We want to be able to gain weight while we're there.
Priorities.
By eating all the food we want. We want to be able to eat what we want when we get there because we know the food's going to be really good. So. Plus, we want to be able to walk around easier and stuff too. So we need to lose weight anyway. So it's not just that. Just to feel healthier anyways. All right, adding some oranges here. Just dabbing on whatever floats your boat there. I'll probably have a little bit too much of the cluttery flowers, but I mean, there's a lot in our picture that I didn't do, so there is a lot in the photo that I'm not putting in. I'm gonna put in some random white dabs. I'm seeing I didn't do as many of these poppies as I thought I wanted to do. Little white dots, dippy dabs, and then let's do the little white dots in the centers of all these little forget-me-nots. This is defining where the centers are, if you can figure it out. If you can't, just kind of drop it somewhere. This seems right. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's amazing your eye will fill in the blanks, I think we get very stressed out about like having these be perfect, but our eye can take minimal amount of information and interpret it as a flower or whatever, So, there's a little bit of ladybug right here on this one. I'm going to put that. I don't have black, but I'm going to make it with burnt umber and phthalo blue. That's close enough. Really, Payne's gray is ultramarine and black, but again, don't have black. Phthalo blue. It's pretty sorry looking. I don't know if I like that. brush the spots while that red was still wet. It kind of melded and did weird things. Okay. Well, he's there. For good or bad. I'm going to get some of that cadmium. He's there. He's
good.
maybe a little deep there. Probably could add a little bit more of the magenta streaked onto, get a little glaze in my magenta, wipe it out, and just kind of pull some lines in this out from the center. Just little thin lines. That glaze will help keep it from being too dark. You could also add white, either one. Okay, the splatter. This definitely turned out more realistic than I had intended, but it's fine. It's not quite the same style as the other ones that I had in the series, but you can see it wasn't that hard to get that, though. I mean, literally it's dabs. This part with the blending might be the hardest part, but other than that, I think a lot of this is just a lot of dabs. A few dabs here, a few dabs there. Just having the right values tends to be 90% of the work. Getting that light, medium, and dark values all in your each flower so that they come forward for us. Okay, I'm going to use this yellow. We'll see how that does as a splatter. Yeah, it's all right. I might use a little bit of the teal up at the top. Some of the phthalo blue, phthalo green. Add a little bit of magenta to it to make it a little bit less obvious. If it's too dark, you can kind of test it if you want, but I'm adding lots of water and then a little bit of glaze, and the glaze just helps that splatter stick, because otherwise the splatter can tend to, whoops, got too much there. I'll show you how to get that off. That was just a chunk of paint that was in my brush, so you can catch it while it's still wet. That yellow was dry, so it'll wipe right off. There we go. Make sure your painting's dry before you do that. That's why you want to do that. Okay, there we go. We are done. We got some fun little flowers. Another wildflower garden under our belts. Hope you enjoyed it. Ooh, that is super chat.
Super chat. Yes.
Nice. That's awesome.
From our friend Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Says, thank you for all that you do, Angela, Mark,
Aw.
and the whole team.
Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet.
generous.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
Very sweet. We appreciate you. Kelly's one of my patrons, and she's very sweet. She's always very encouraging. Her and Nancy and many of the other ladies that hang out with me on Thursdays in our group. We have a good time. It's a smaller, Mark's not there, so I can't leave out David, though. David does hang out.
They pay extra.
Him and Andrew put up with all the girls. They pay extra not to have you there?
Exactly.
Yes. I'm going to get a little bit of white and my light blue, light blue. Just noticing that there's maybe these are kind of disappearing, so I want to add a little bit of highlight on the tips of these. And there's actually some, I didn't do this, but there's some like in between little spikies that come in between the big ones, so we need to add those. That's probably part of what was bugging me about them because they weren't. I missed that important spot there. So yeah, just a little in between, kind of like shorter in between these tall spikies. There's littler ones. There we go. All right, super fun, lots of detail. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'd love to have you join our family here. Thankful Art. We meet every Tuesday and chat and have a good time. So,
Yep.
and we appreciate all of you that stopped by and are watching the replay too. And yeah, we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.